Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. Let go of negative thinking and stop living for the weekend. With your host, Fran Excel.
So welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel, Mindset Coach, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you really love. So today I'm talking about why your fear of judgment is holding you back. It's a big one. Okay, so why your fear of judgment is holding you back. Fear of judgment is the number one fear stopping entrepreneurs pushing forward and getting visible in their business. Recently, I created an online poll asking what is the number one thing holding you back in your business, and by far, the number one thing that got in people's way is fearing being judged or not being liked. That worry that you might get negative comments online or offline because you're not pretty enough, you're too fat, you're too boring, you're not good enough. All the things that you can be too much of or not enough of. So this can be applied to trying to do anything big in your life. So remember that fear at its most basic, as I'm always saying, is false evidence appearing real. That's it. What we fear hasn't even happened yet. It's not in the now. So when we imagine the predicted outcome of being judged or not liked, we can get totally consumed by it as if it already is real. We're already being judged, and that makes us procrastinate and not take the action, and then in turn get frustrated with ourselves and self-sabotage in the process. So as I've spoken about before, we feel the same physiological feelings as if this judgment or negative comment or whatever it may be had already happened. So that makes it feel even more real unless we challenge it. The brain doesn't distinguish between, the real and imagined. It just doesn't. So that's why it feels so real when we're just thinking about it. So it used to get me too. Obviously, it still does. Of course it does, but I know how to get through it. So fear of judgment plagued me for years. I mean, decades. Even it stopped me from doing so many things in my first product-based business, and honestly was probably part of the reason I quit before I could fail, which doesn't need to happen to you. So fear of judgment made me procrastinate over anything that was putting myself out there, and it actively stopped me from taking action and drove me a little bit mad in the process too. So obviously it's better to not be visible than get judged, right? Well, no, if you want a business or you want to do any of these big things, these big dreams that you have, no. It is really easy to believe it's all you. So the thing is, it's really very easy to accept this fear of judgment and lack of self-esteem as being ingrained in who we are, part of our personality, and just something that will always be a problem. But good news, my friends, it's not by a long way. So I learned to let it go, so can you. You just need to make a few tweaks in your thinking and your thought processes and shift how you see the world and how you see yourself. And that does sound quite difficult, but I promise you it's not. It's not. It just takes a little bit of effort. And I talk about this all the time. So we've all been there. We've all felt judged or not liked at some point in our lives. And it's a really, really horrible feeling that hugely affects our self-esteem. But the trouble is our brain remembers that horrible feeling and then actively stops us putting ourselves out there on purpose. So your hippocampus, which is responsible for your memories, is right next to your amygdala, which is responsible for your fight or flight and your fear center. So you can see how the two are closely linked. So what it tries to do is protect you from having that feeling again. That horrible feeling, you felt it so clearly before, so it tries to protect you. And that's when you start to hold yourself back and you get that intense feeling of resistance to putting yourself out there. So what if you do get judged negatively? If you do get judged negatively, then the thing I want you to remember is it's never actually about you. It's actually not anything to do with you at all. People who judge you are the ones with the issues, not you. When you can understand that, it's so much easier to let go. So look at online trolls. Someone has to be a seriously unhappy person and unhappy with their lot in life to be able to write some of those judgmental things and some of those awful, awful things that you see. They do it to make themselves feel better in some way. That idea of bringing someone else down or, that phrase is standing on someone's head so they can stand taller. And really, does an online troll's opinion actually really matter? No, it really doesn't. I mean, if you actually put yourself and look at the type of people that do it, do you think their opinion matters? No. But what I want you to do is feel empathy over anger. So if you can try and look at these people with empathy instead of anger or hurt, then it's not going to sting you anywhere near as much. A happy, well-rounded individual just does not behave like that, right? So feel sorry for them and their miserable little life. A little reframe for you on negative comments is to start looking forward to them. People often say that you've made it when you get your first troll because you're standing for what you believe in. You're polarizing. It means people are listening and are bothered enough to make a comment in the first place. You certainly aren't being ignored anymore. There's no crickets anymore. And usually it means they're looking at you as an influence. So you're doing something right. Learn to laugh at them and really imagine the person on the other side of that negative comment, that keyboard warrior, with nothing better to do than try and tear other people down. Imagine them as the Grouch from Sesame Street, if that helps. In the same way it helps with the negative voice in your head, you can do it with imagining Sesame Street creatures as the people who are being mean. So who is the judge, really? The other thing with judgment is you're only really afraid of being judged on the things that you find yourself judging other people on. It's like a negative cycle of judgment that someone has to quit in order to stop it. So if you judge someone on something, how they behave, how they look, what they're wearing or not wearing, you then fully expect to be judged on the same thing. And when you can start to catch yourself in a moment of judgment and stop it, you'll start to do it less, then you will fear it less. Okay, it's a reflection of our own insecurities. So if you can stop judging yourself and get out of the habit of judging other people, because it is a habit, that's really, really going to help. And it's often said that we don't like things in other people because we see a part of it in ourselves. So it's either a way we wish we were, so jealousy of something that we're not, or something that is part of us that we actually don't like, that we try and suppress. So as always, I like to not leave you in the lurch or out in the cold and give you a few ways to get through it. So here you go. Stop caring. Ask yourself if that person's opinion really matters. You don't need other people's opinions to validate you owning your awesomeness, as long as you believe in what you're putting out in the world. So the fear tends to come when we don't. So that's where you need a little work on confidence and self-belief. And I've got a ton more content on that. So create a tribe that do have your back and surround yourself with people who do believe in you and what you're doing and help drive you forward. And that will help you grow in confidence as you'll have more people telling you how awesome you are at what you do, which is something we don't get in our own businesses often, but we did get in our jobs. So it was really easy to know what we were amazing at, remember that. So get intentional about not being liked by the right people. So you've heard that phrase, your vibe attracts your tribe. You actively want to attract the right people, your ideal clients, your ideal people, and you want to turn off the wrong ones. You want them to land on your website or your content and go, ugh, that's not for me. If you're intentional about it, it won't hurt as much. It really won't. And also, are they actually even judging you? Or are they actually jealous because they want what you have and don't have the guts to do what you're doing? Ask yourself, what is the best and worst case scenario if you do or don't push yourself through this fear of judgment? What's the best case scenario if you don't push yourself through? What is the worst case scenario if you don't push yourself through? Yeah? Ponder on this one. What do you bring into your life by not fearing being judged or not being liked? Yeah? If you can stop that, what does that bring into your life? Remember these little nuggets as well. Remember that the fear center in our brain feels like it's working for us, but it's actually working against us. And it's not being helpful, but it really is your choice if you listen to it or not. It really is. I cannot stress that enough. I've done enough training and got enough qualifications to know that to be true. So you have to choose whether you're going to listen or not. Move towards your fear. It really is the best way to get through it. Acknowledge it and let it fuel you in the knowledge that there is usually something great on the other side. Yeah? Don't let it hold you back. Whenever I feel fear or resistance, I push through it because I know that the unicorns and rainbows are right on the other side of that. It always happens. It's always the way. It's just the way it goes. Because also you grow in confidence. The second you push yourself through your comfort zone, boom, you've learned something. You know you can do something. You grow in confidence. It's amazing. So understand that it's all part of the process. Something to be aware of with all of this is it can and it will make you procrastinate over the things that you know you need to get done and getting yourself out there and getting visible, but you just can't seem to make yourself. It will make you procrastinate. But the biggest thing I want you to take away from this is if people don't, and I've said this before, if people don't know who you are and where you are and that you can solve their problems, then you can't solve their problems. Remember, you're the only one that can put your message into the world that somebody else needs to hear right at that time, said by you. So what if other people are doing similar? They're not doing it the same way as you. It may not feel like it right now, but you can 100% retrain your brain to think differently about this. I did it, so can you. So let's get you out into that big wide world doing the thing that only you can do. Yeah? So I would love to know what you fear being judged on. Let me know what you in particular fear being judged on, because the more people comment, the more you can understand that you are not on your own in this. I mean, it is insane how many people struggle with this stuff. And when I asked in this group, what's your number one fear of getting visible? Judgment, 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 judgment. But there are ways through it. And hopefully I have given you the start of that. So I hope that was really helpful. And as always, I will see you